James, welcome. Thanks for coming in to have a chat with us today.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
So first up, we want to talk about modern coastal. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so I'd describe modern coastal as an elegant, light, airy, very sort of Australian style of design. So, big volume of spaces, the pitch ceiling, raking ceiling inside, where you've got living, dining, kitchen spaces all at the same level as a courtyard and a pool. Great for families and that sort of thing. So
yeah, and I know you've chosen this particular design style for your own personal home.
Yes.
Can you tell me what the vibe and what the feeling is living in a modern coastal home?
Yeah, I think it's one of, it's that you can kind of close the door and it's this luxury sort of resort feel. Everything's really well connected in terms of the spaces, as I said. You've got a nice sort of alfresco area off the living, nice courtyard with some greenery, and then the pool all on that same level. So I think, that's the kind of style that families are wanting, and there's plenty of examples. We often get new clients come to us who have an issue where the pool is on a different level of the living space in an old home, and they just say they never use those entertaining spaces. So, in all our new designs, and I think particularly with modern coastal, it's something that we plan into the
connecting it all.
Yeah, connect it all very early. So.
And just looking at like your design renders, everything seems relaxed. Like it's a relaxed kind of understated look, but you can still see there's luxury there.
Yes.
That's sort of, just from looking from the outside, the vibe of your house design.
Yes.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think it comes down to just using complementary materials as well. So for modern coastal, we try and use 2 to 3 materials rather than 6 materials where it's just there's too much going on. So that usually consists of nice white crisp materials, a light sort of grey paving, and some timber sort of highlights here and there. So
yeah, I've noticed you're not playing too much with the colours, more the textures.
Yes.
You've got the screening, the battens, which are throwing that kind of really cool texture at the front.
Yep.
And then the differentiation in the brushed concrete and the linear cladding.
Yep.
They complement each other really well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of examples of homes that have sort of dated over the years that do have too many materials and too many colours going on. So we really try and pare it back to just the essentials, and it just helps give it that resort kind of luxury feel.
Yeah, I'm even getting that sort of Queenslander taste in there as well. It's like with the arch kind of tied in, it's kind of that modern twist as well on a Queenslander, which obviously you guys are in Queensland and Brisbane, but yeah, that's not seen as much in the modern coastal where I'm from, Cronulla. Sort of, I've done so many duplexes, and pretty much every client walk in with the same brief. They're like, I want modern coastal. I want the same as this and this, because it's on a beachy area.
Yes.
But it's more actually like flat roof with a take on that, where you've got the pitch roof with the curves and the screening and the arches, which is a cool twist.
Yeah, I think the open gable roof just gives you an opportunity to get some some windows up high in the near the roof, and then you kind of get that filtered light through the battens, and cool. The interior becomes quite a nice space to be.
So I'm sure wellbeing is a massive thing for clients. Can you tell me how you're adding wellbeing into your modern coastal design?
Yeah, for sure. It's almost part of every brief we get now. So a client will come to us with, the 4 or 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom brief with the alfresco area and the yard. And it's really up to us to incorporate that wellness space down below in the design. So with this particular design here, we came up with this solution where we had a double garage down below, and behind that was a small wellness centre. So, space for a gym, infrared sauna, ice bath, that sort of thing that can be fitted out by the client at a later date or upon completion of the build. And I think it's probably a reflection of, during COVID, people spending more time at home working, and, there's still a bit of that happening now, and it's become more of a normality, and clients need the wellness centre or the wellness space to really break out and just go away and get some alone time away from the computer. So it's part of this flexible space that we're building into most homes now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And even just that courtyard design, I just think of the way a family would live in that space, where you've kind of got vision on the pool.
Yep.
You've got natural light coming in from all angles. It's just seems like a pretty cool environment to raise families and things like that. And then as they grow up, there's the zone for them to go down to the massive basement and hang out and play down there.
That's right.
And all of those zones that you're creating within the design is definitely making for a great feeling of wellness in a house.
Yeah, totally.
So you touched on the wellness studio that you've created in this design. Can you give us some more insight into how you're creating flexibility for multi-generational living and for, whatever you've designed that house for, what it might become in the future with the family changing and, you've got the grandparents, the kids, and all different zones that you're creating within?
Yes. Yeah, so in a lot of places, clients want like a 5-bedroom house. In this particular design, there's basically one of those bedrooms is a rumpus room. So there's, the sofa bed in there that can fold up for when the grandparents are sleeping over or the kids are having a friend over. But it can also function as a bedroom if the house is full.
One thing I like obviously looking at the design, like, hey, it's kind of like 2 pavilions almost, and separating, like, as the kids grow up, you can get away, like, as well. Could be, I don't know, like you got the 2 zone.
That's a good point, yeah. So I think, in these big houses, that families want to come together at those moments to have dinner together and watch a special event on TV or have friends over, but they also need their space as well. So that's one of the reasons we stretch this one out. So there's a link that connects the 2 volumes, as you mentioned, Neil, and that also helps buffer the neighbours a bit too. So the whole house is orientated to achieve really good solar orientation into the courtyard. So there's lots of sun on the pool and on the grass space. And we've also, this is a 5-bedroom house, so one of those bedrooms is a rumpus / bedroom. It can be converted as needed. So I think families are sort of wanting those 2 living zones in their homes a lot more now, just to get that separation from each other when it's needed. And I think another really interesting part of it is down below, behind the 2 cars, where we've got the gym space. That has flexibility too. So that can be a gym for a while, and then if the parents join a gym outside of the house, it can convert into a teenagers retreat. So we've allowed windows into that spase.
Dance party for the kids.
Dance parties, discos,
disco ball, yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
Man cave.
Yeah. I think a man cave's a good idea. But it could also be a 4-car garage, or if the kids stay at home till they're 21 and they need to park their car in there as well, there's flexibility in that regard. So and this allows people to stay in these properties for many years without having to have the hassle of moving and moving costs and that sort of thing.
So tell us about modern coastal homes and how they're resilient to the harsh Australian climate. I know your place is sort of subtropical up in Fortitude Valley in Brisbane, which is definitely a hot place, really hot. But most of these modern coastal homes that I see are normally in kind of hot, beachy areas. How do you design to combat that?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's, with the big open gable roof as well, you really want to get that airflow through that front volume where the living, dining, kitchen is. So what we've done is just, some really simple things like just positioning external fans over the alfresco area, big internal fan inside, and just getting that cross ventilation from the courtyard through to the street is really, just a simple thing that we've built in. And, there's also louvers in the bedrooms and throughout the house, fly screens in Queensland just to keep all the mozzies out. But, there's various material elements as well that we've looked at. So, really durable cladding, keeping the roof sheeting nice and light so that solar transmission isn't too hefty in the Queensland climate. So we've gone for like a really light grey roof sheeting. And obviously, all the white cladding on the exterior.
Windows, could you? Do you got low E glass and things like that, or?
Yeah, so all the windows are powder coated aluminium, so just the durable, low maintenance material as opposed to timber. And low E glass is something that can be incorporated as well. So we're with a lot of the energy changes coming into into the building regulations, or that have already happened. There's the need for double glazing, low E glass. Trying to lessen the expanse of glazing is a pretty big one. So we're thinking about that on new projects as well.
Yeah.
So
I think the way you've designed that house, you've done enough with the architecture, the orientation, the shading of the windows, and everything to not need to go spending too much money on those things by the look of it.
Yes.
And having that cross flow with the louvers in the bedrooms, and like I know I'm living in Byron at the moment, similar sort of climate, and you crave that fresh air.
Yeah.
Like I personally hate aircon, and I don't know, having that cross flow for 90% of the time. I mean, there's days where no matter what you do, you're going to need some aircon, I reckon. But but that's a smart design from. Yeah,
and I think things like providing deep shade and awnings and overhangs to windows, just to give it that little bit of extra protection, always helps with the energy efficiency of the home. So
especially with the screening, that would work. It's sort of filtering the light without getting the blasting sun coming in.
That's right. Yeah. Like beefing up the insulation in the ceiling and the walls. Not just going for the minimum requirement.
Yeah, for a small extra cost, you're getting a much more resilient house.
That's right.
So as we know, there's a big movement towards passive house and trying to get to that 7-star rating on all houses. How have you addressed that with this house with some principles for energy efficiency?
Yeah, we've provided solar panels over the roof, which is an easy one that's been done for quite a number of years, and also battery storage within the garage. So we can feed back to the grid when we need to. There's also fast EV charging in the garage. I've just bought a Tesla, so that'll be helpful. I think it's around a 3 or 4 hour charge time, and that can all be generated from the solar. So it's really about low running costs, and I think that's what consumers are more interested in at the moment with electricity bills so high. Yeah. So it's if you're going to build this sort of self-sustaining house, how can you make it work for you as much as possible?
And the thing is, you only get one shot at it. Like, there's no second chances. When you're building a structure and spending a lot of money, construction cost is a lot.
Yeah.
The small amount of money in insulating the walls, upgrading the glass, designing in a way that shades the glass and things like that, they're just fractional little costs. But over the whole project, that one shot you get at it, you just got to make sure you get it right, hey?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, adding the solar and things like that are great ways to save cost once it's built, but from a design perspective, it's near impossible to go back and fix all those little things that you've done wisely in the design before.
That's right. Yeah, and we've got clients who they have solar on their house, and they're basically running all their ducted aircon during the day for free. So there's those sort of advantages that if you're going to be in the home for a long time, it's worth putting in the coin at the start.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I've noticed with that design is you've loaded the top floor over the bottom floor, which a lot of architects have this thing where they just have to offset it a little bit. And I know from a buildability perspective, you're then paying huge money on these massive big steel beams to hold up something that could have just been a little bit adjusted.
Yes.
I mean, you can do the cladding transitions where you might have linear with the Hardie fine texture or whatever the products are. You can still make the definition change.
Yes.
But having the load lining, I feel like is what 100%. You've done there, and that's a massive cost saver. Yeah.
And that's it. Keeping those areas like decks and things, not over an internal area is just, it seems like an obvious thing to do, but it's not always the way. So
it's also helpful for the builder to sleep at night, knowing that there's
better relationship with the builder.
So you obviously being an architect, you have a lot of options choosing a builder. You've obviously chosen the builder that you want to build your house. You've obviously worked with them before. Tell us a little bit about, I guess, from a budget perspective, working in with your builder and how important it is to have that relationship.
Yeah, I think if clients are looking for certainty with their build, which 99% of them are, if not 100, it's always good to have a builder at the table, during that concept design. So we can kind of give them a guide on, rough budget based on square metre rates at the start of a job. But we need a builder to put some science behind that. So we'll often bring them in, around the 2 or 3 months after we've started, and we're sort of having those conversations on the phone about the projects, probably in week 1 or 2 of when we get the job. So, particularly on this design, we went through a whole pricing process with the builder where they knew it inside out. They were very organised at Fifth & Co, and that relationship's been really great for the project. And I think, if you can find someone who's really organised and structured with their pricing, who's got a really good handle on the market, and I think concrete just went up 7 or 8% in January, and steel went up last year. So just allowing those sort of escalations into a build price is a really good idea, because when you start a design, and I think this is a challenge for architects, when you start a design, the construction may not commence for 12 or 18 months, maybe more. So the market, a lot can happen in the market, things can change. So I think having that really good relationship with the builder is just a benefit for everyone involved in the job.
Yeah, I think that early engagement is just so important, because you might know what you've known on previous jobs, but you're already designing the next job and you're not actually seeing what's happening on the ground right then and there, like concrete increases and everything. But from a builder's perspective, there's also new products coming out that are easier and more efficient and are kind of cutting costs in different ways that they can offer advice on, and say, if we swap that cladding for this cladding, or if we do it in this method, or if we use this insulation, it's half the price of that. And having that collaborative round table discussion with the engineers, the architects, the aircon guys, the plumbers, all those people having a bit of an input can definitely save. You might knock a little bit of money off each item throughout the whole job. And it stacks up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just that coordination happening during the design phase. So design isn't happening in a vacuum over here. It's just that it should be a collaborative process. So I think that's where everyone can contribute, and that's worked really well with this one and other projects.
So the one thing I love about the modern coastal design is masonry just doesn't really make sense, which from a budget perspective, a build time perspective, it just makes it all simple. The engineer's going to love it. The builders on site are going to love it. They can just get their chippies to build the whole house. You're not adding in any other trades. Tell us a bit more about why you've specified, I guess, a lightweight construction with clad.
But what I love about the brushed concrete is that you get a bit of a texture to it, so you get some nice light and shadow across it, and that's also worked really well with the linear weatherboard in this one. So we've been able to break up large expanses of facade with just 2 materials. So, and as you mentioned, they're all lightweight, so you get that construction speed, but also you get that sort of simplicity and the sophistication of the modern coastal look.
So I know for you as an architect, getting this modern coastal look is easy, but for most people that are probably watching this, it's quite hard to get that cohesion. I know you've done a handbook for the James Hardie Modern Home Forecast. Can you tell us a little bit about what we'll find in that book?
Yeah, I think it's fairly overwhelming for people looking to build, at the start of a project. So I think the handbook is just a really helpful resource to, some advice around materials, colours, cost savings ideas, good places to start for your project. So I think it'll help give you a bit of a jump start for your project, and hopefully it helps people out there. So.
No, thanks so much, James. Thanks for running through all that with us, and
my pleasure.
Look forward to seeing your house built.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.